welcome to the Broader Edge, candid conversations that envision a new future. Step with us into the edge of evolution as we explore the shifting thoughts, beliefs, and actions that are shaping our tomorrow. Now, join your hosts, Teri Angel, Sheila Cash, Mira, Rubin, and Elisabeth Williams for candid conversations that envision a new future.
Welcome everyone to the show today on Enlightened World Network. This is the Broader Edge. Are you afraid that life as we know it will never be the same? Or are you excited about the opportunities we now have to take a pause, to gain a broader perspective, and to move forward from a place of love, compassion, inspiration, and empowerment? Explore with us these shifts in thoughts, beliefs, and actions that we are being invited to consider individually and collectively as we step out onto the edge of evolution. Today, we at the Broader Edge are going to discuss what brought us to this point of being here, live with you on this show, what our desire and mission is, and well, how girls just want to have fun. And that's what we intend to do with this show. We'll be here every other Thursday, broadcasting through Enlightened World at this time, 5 o'clock Eastern. And Enlightened World brings us magnificent programming for all of us to enjoy. So now, pull up a chair, get comfortable, and let's get some introductions going. I'm Teri Angel, and I am so excited to be here with all of you ladies that are here with me. I cannot wait to hear what you have to share on today's show. Let's start with you, Liz Williams, and then you can pass that torch around our table.
Okay, I'm Liz Williams. I am located in Chicago. I'm the Midwesterner of the group, and I have a firm called Awe Partners. It's a social impact advisory firm, and I could not be more thrilled to be with this group of women and to kick off our podcast series around topics that are going to be fabulous to explore together. So I'm going to send it over to Mira, who's on my left.
Beautiful. I'm Mira Rubin. I'm in the Philadelphia area. And I am a coach and an environmental activist and a visionary. And I'm just so excited to be in this group of ladies to have conversations that I've always wanted to have about things that matter, and just to see where we go with it. I'm delighted. So Sheila, take it away.
Thanks, Mira. I'm Sheila Cash, and I am an author, a new human master coach, giving mentoring and coaching, and offering courses in epigenetics and cellular consciousness. I am so excited to be here with these wonderful ladies. We have, we found that we really were just diving into these deep conversations, and we can't wait to hear from all of you, the listeners, as well, as, to what it is that you're really seeking right now, and what it is that you'd like to talk about. So we're just super excited to be here with you.
And ladies, we had talked earlier about how this first show was going to look and how we wanted to present it to our listeners. And I'm very excited because I love history. So I want us to just share a little bit, each of us, about what our thought process was. How did we get to be here? What brought us to this place? And I know for me, it was that time of just really looking at our world, the world that's with everything that's happening right now, but also even before that, when everything was, we were asking for change, and we're saying, can't we please have this changed? And I was envisioning a world of peace, and how do we get there? What are the steps to get there? So when I connected with you all, that was where I was coming from, was looking to see what I can do to make an impact in the world. So I would just love to hear your shares about where you were at when we found each other and came together as a group.
Well, we're all doing things in the world. And we connected with each other. Originally, we were going to have a mastermind, which was ways to brainstorm about initiatives that we could spark and what kinds of change we could create in the world. And it just became so much richer and deeper and fuller being in our conversations. For me, this is like a dream come true. Just to have playmates in this space, you know, with people that are conscious, that care, that are creative thinkers, you know, and looking for new ways to interact in the world online with what you're up to, Sheila, with the New Human. You know, that what can we create in the world? And for me, well, I've been so present to the climate crisis and what we're doing to the planet, and noticing that people weren't really waking up to that. And so that was kind of my focus. And we were engaged with each other before COVID showed up on the stage, as you said, Teri. So it's not that there weren't other concerns for us, but now we have, I think, as a global community, as a global family, I think we have a greater listening for these kinds of topics and remaking the world that we're living into.
Yeah, I think when we came together initially and we got into these conversations, we realized that we were all ready to explore them deeper, but to invite others into the conversation. And we figured that if we were all talking about this, there were probably others that were really interested in exploring these topics. And as Mira said, it was interesting. It happened prior to the whole COVID thing. That's when it kind of kicked off for us. But then as we got deeper into that, we realized the timing is perfect, because I think so many of us have had time now to kind of step back, take that pause, listen in, and realize that, yeah, things weren't exactly the way I wanted them to be, but I wasn't really sure what to do about it. And I'd love to start exploring that, because we don't want to have to go through this again or something even worse. So if there's things that we can be doing to prevent that, that would be outstanding. And so that's what we hope to explore.
Mm-hmm. And I have been practicing and teaching higher consciousness for more than a couple of decades. So when I came together with these ladies, it was particularly around empowerment and the divine feminine. So we had, we came together, initially our purpose was around the divine feminine, which has really been rising in consciousness. Empowerment is another just big topic that is really spreading through our collective right now. And, as we got together and began to talk about, empowerment and both the divine feminine, we found that we were moving into broader aspects of consciousness. And that's probably where the broader, edge came in. And that, we had a lot, we were really resonating together on broader consciousness and higher consciousness, and realized that this could be very valuable for what people are seeking right now. And here we are.
And here we are. And that process we went through, just examining what we wanted our mission to be, that was exciting. And it was so interesting also. Can we talk about how we did that and those things that we wanted to look at, that we wanted our show to stand out as something that was beneficial? Why would people come back to listen to us, each time? What would they get if they came back and returned to hear us? So let's talk about that process we went through of identifying what our values were, what it was that we thought would be discussed as we come together each time. Who would like to run with that one?
I would just like to jump in real quick. I think what we looked at is what would make it fun for us, because that's as important as the contribution. In fact, I think what makes it fun for us makes it fun for people that are here to be with us. And so we used a deck of values cards that I actually developed. So I'm honored that we got to use them. It was awesome. And they're available. If anybody's interested, you can reach out and I can tell you how to get them. And through a process of elimination, we looked at individually what lit us up, what connected. And we all got these lists. And I'm going to hand this off so we can do like whisper down the lane in how to say this. So Liz, why don't you go next?
Well, so we each took, we back and we went through and pulled out those that were most important to us. And then we tried to find the commonalities. And so I'll start with where we ended up was that we needed an umbrella topic. And the umbrella topic we decided was consciousness. So everything else we felt kind of came under that theme. Consciousness was important to all of us. We felt like it was that overarching theme and we wanted to focus on that. But then we had a number, about 10 or so values underneath that. So I'm going to pick out those that really stood out for me. One was authenticity. So AWE partners, AWE partners, AWE stands for Authentic Women Empowered. And so that goes back to the whole empowerment and divine feminine. But authenticity to me is so critical because I think it's that place that each of us is seeking. We want to be able to know in depth who we are, what our soul came here to do, and how can we be more fully ourselves. Where is a place where we can feel like we can just be fully ourselves? And that's what we want to create in this circle. And so we've each agreed that authenticity is critical for each of us. And then we want to invite our listeners into being their authentic self and taking their magnificence out into the world.
And I would add that there were several other values that we agreed on, which were vision was one of those. Inspiration was another, and growth was another. And these come under the umbrella of consciousness, but also under the umbrella of conscious evolution, of evolving it. They all have an energy of evolving forward, broadening, and really getting more comfortable with the unknown, which is where we are right now, and which is what we're going to be talking a lot about. We're in a different paradigm now. Even though we've talked about being in a different paradigm for many, many, many years, but I think we've all felt that we have crossed a new threshold at this time. And so the growth of being able to move forward, being able to jump forward energetically and in our minds, and being able to explore new ideas, that was what really jumped out for me.
Absolutely. And for me, I loved collaboration, and I'm pretty sure that most of us have that one, if not all of us. And that's what it's coming to in our world. If you want to make a difference, then you reach out and we build communities. We look at how we can impact each other and interact with each other. So collaboration was really huge for me. That, to me, if that's not there, then what are we doing? We're just sitting here talking. But to figure out how we can all work together, and especially at a time such as this, where we need each other. We need to reach out in whatever way we can. Right now it's virtually, but eventually, how do we collaborate with others in going back out into the world and doing things? And also the spirituality that's under that big umbrella of consciousness, that's at the core, I think, of everything. And we wanted to make sure that when we come to you, we come as heart-centered women who are going to be very real and very authentic being here. And we want this show to be for you, the listeners. We want your input. We want your feedback. If you have questions, ask questions. If you have comments for us, put those in the comments, because we do pay attention. This isn't just us sitting here and talking. We want you around this round table right beside of us, and to get your ideas and your input as well.
Playfulness was another one of the values, and I think, the spirit of play is so enlivening, and we were really excited to just be goofy to be deep and to be serious. And then we came up with these other wonderful words: sassy, spunky, and silly. So we just added that to be able to really embody this spirit of lightness and joy in the expression of what we're bringing forward into the new world. So go for it, Liz.
Well, as part of it, we would look at the definitions of these words, because sometimes you throw out words and you kind of want to know, well, what does it really mean? And so when we went into things like sassy was lively, bold, and spirited. And spunky was courageous, determined, someone who has a lot of energy or is spirited. And those were all just such powerful feminine words, adjectives. And so we were really drawn to that. And we'd hear a certain word and we think, yes, that's what we want to do. That's what we want to be. And we had a couple others. We did a little exploring of badass, because we thought that was an important one. We want to make sure.
Because we're badass broads.
Because we are. A little edgy. And so all these things, the broader edge, edgy, all these were words that, we were hoping would express who we are and what we're trying to bring to the world, and hopefully invite others in who say, yeah, I'm ready for that. I want to be sassy, I want to be spunky, I want to be edgy, and I want to be badass, because that's what the world is asking of us now. That's who we need to be as women who are stepping up as leaders, and that's what we want to inspire here. So we hope to do that.
Rising to the challenges.
And we talked about the fact that we will be. Let me say this to the listeners: don't expect us to be saying the same kinds of things that you're hearing all the way around. Spirituality was another one of our values, but we all embody a new spirituality. And we're willing to go to the edge of those insights and really explore new facets. So you won't be hearing the same things here that you're hearing all around the internet. You're going to be hearing a lot of new ideas. So hold on and come on board with us.
Yeah, it's not your mama's spirituality.
I think it is. It's really important. I think it's inner spirituality or interfaith. We're not talking about just one religion or one denomination. We're talking about being open to all. And then the same from, there's so much partisanship and vision, particularly in our country, that we don't want to go there. We haven't even explored what we all think about those issues, but we are confident that we can come together, be authentic, be honest, and find common ground, even if we don't all come from the same place. So that's what we hope to
be operating from a foundation of respect and connection. So assuming the connection, regardless of whether we agree or disagree on different topics, as a new way to move through dealing with conflict.
Yeah. So what I'm
there is some, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah. What I'm hearing, ladies, is that we all have this common ground. We all have this common vision to reach out, to make an impact, to be there for anybody that needs that word from us. But we're all individually coming from our own place. So our opinions may be different. The way we say things, the concept that we have of things may be different, but we're going to sit in respectful discussion about it. And when somebody has a question or you have a comment or something you would like us to delve into and look at, we can each add our own flavor to that. It would be very boring if we all thought the same way, wouldn't it, ladies?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think, we're not going to be sticking with what would be traditionally considered only spiritual topics, because we're going to be moving into, all of the topics that are in our daily lives, from the environment to, potentially politics, to health, to, to the economy, and bringing a new spirituality to those topics.
It's all about perspective, right? And the foundation assumptions that we're holding. And I think that that's our great commonality, is that we're coming from a place of evolution. We're looking toward resolution and connection, regardless. And as a new paradigm, what we're hoping to do is to just share that in such a way that that it's very natural, not only for us, but for other people to model and take forward.
Absolutely.
I think it's pretty amazing when we look at the process of how we've gotten here. This has happened in, I would say, less than 2 months. And as we said, when we came together, it was for a mastermind. And within the first conversation, which was so powerful, I think it was Mira who said, we should really do a podcast. And from then on, we started meeting every other week to plan this. And we would just go at it for 90 minutes and kind of nail things down. And then we would take each of our areas of expertise and use them to create what we did. You know, somebody focused on music, somebody focused on design, somebody focused more on kind of the strategy, somebody focused on topics, you know, and we just kind of brought it all together. And I think if this could happen more often, you know, things would change quickly in the world. And I'm thinking maybe that's the way it is. I can't wait to hear more about the new human from Sheila, but I think if we can take this approach with other things, things will change quickly. And I'd love to see it happen.
Well, it's interesting that you bring up the new human in this context, because I hadn't thought about it before. But as you described, the way that we just really just dovetailed, flowed forward, I mean, it really took on a life of its own. It's almost as if the show created itself. And that is a hallmark of our new humanity, of our new consciousness. You know, aligning with flow, aligning with adaptability, aligning with, you know, authenticity. And we did, you know, really, as you bring it up there, Liz, it's like we just, it was almost unspoken a good bit of the time. You know, it was just, you know, it was almost like we all just knew what to do, and then we did it, and then here we are. And that is also a hallmark of the new of the divine feminine too.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, how many hours did we actually spend together? It's like under 10 hours.
Yeah,
Probably.
very little.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy. I mean, because we all have this great bond, this deep connection and trust and affection for one another, and it's just wild.
Yeah.
Well, there's something called the self-organizing universe, or the self-synchronous universe, which is that universal impulse that recognizes when conditions are resonant with each other. And I think we're a great example of that in motion.
And I think the other key piece, though, is you have to be open to it. So, you know, you don't always know what you're being called to. And so you try to just prepare, you know, for it. And then when it arrives, say yes. Even if it's a little scary, which it's going to be, because you're likely stepping outside your comfort zone. We are right now. We were asking, are you nervous to get on camera? I'm like, a little bit nervous, but, you know, we'll get it through it. But it's that having that confidence and that ability to say yes, even though you don't actually know exactly how it's going to unfold, but trusting that you know in your gut if this is right, and you can trust the unfolding, even if it's a little scary. And I think that's where we're headed on the planet. They certainly feel really scary now, but they may continue to feel scary, but we just have to be ready and trust and walk through together.
And to trust not only the universal, you know, energies, but to trust your own inner authority, and to trust your inner capacity to meet the moment. You know, we've all heard of that analogy of, you know, stepping forward, and then, you know, the sort of the step or the platform appears as you step forward. And this is all part of the new human too. You know, to not feel limited, to not feel, you know, stuck or relying on your past conditioning, but to really just step forward and let it happen.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, you were talking about the fear, Liz, of what, you know, what's going to happen. That is where fear comes from. When we start projecting what might happen, And many times in our human mind, we're like, oh, this could really be bad. Yeah, so we start looking at the worst that could happen. But I want to invite each of you to share your vision for this and what's the best that could happen. If we let go of that fear, if we let go of those expectations and that attachment to the expectation, what's the best that could happen with this show, with the Broader Edge?
Silence.
I would love to vision, I think that it's totally possible now. You know, a mentor of mine had called the internet our new nervous system collectively for our species. So we have this nervous system. We're all a part of this nervous system. And the genius, the true genius of humanity is in the collective. It is being able to come together, allowing everything to dovetail. So the show is not about us. We are the vessels, but we have this nervous system that we're opening up and offering to be open and to share with all of you, all of the listeners. And with your comments and, with your engagement to not only, broaden our ideas, but what's going to happen is, what is the point of broadening our consciousness? It's really about upgrading our daily lives, helping us to find solutions to things, helping us understand ourselves and understand the world better and understand each other better. And we are just coming into so many new aspects of our lives that we'll be able to work to find those solutions together. And, what could be better?
I think one of the best things that could happen out of this show is that we inspire people to show up in their lives and really take action. To dovetail on what you said, Liz, to inspire people to really just do it. Just do it. Connect with your soul's purpose. Connect with your authentic self. Find your voice in the world and go for it. And know that you make a difference. I mean, that's really the foundation of so much of the work that we do anyway. It's certainly the foundation of the work that I do in my practice, my coaching practice. And I moving people into that expression, I believe, is going to be moving the world to the place where we dream it can be.
Yeah, and then I would add to that is, yes, claiming your magnificence, finding your purpose, and aligning with the solutions that are happening out there. Because it is, despite what looks like a lot of chaos and pain, and it's true, that is happening, there are incredible solutions happening, being implemented around the world by really heart-centered and intelligent people. And be able to acknowledge that, to find those, and then to align with them, to align our own purpose with that. That's how we change the world. That's how we co-create a new world that's better in a way so that it's better for everyone. So everyone has a chance to be fully who they came here to be. That, to me, that would be heaven on earth.
I want to respond to that just for a minute, because you're talking about the pain and the fear, and absolutely that's there. But for me, I see this time as a miracle. I truly do see it as a miracle, and my heart breaks for the people that are suffering through it. However, it's very clear to me that there is nothing in a time of peace that could have gotten the whole world, the global family, to stop and reevaluate, to evaluate the way that we live our lives, the way that we consume, the way that we hurry about, and what our priorities have been in our lives in family, in work, in nature. And we've had a pause. Nature said, go to your room and think about it. And here we are.
Take time out.
And now we have a chance to to change the momentum of that thought pattern and that movement that was like a runaway train. Now we can redirect that. We have room to have new possibility emerge with new priorities. And I think people are much more aware of the need for some kind of system that supports the wellness of people, that supports us financially in a different way, that really maximizes the focus on well-being. So I think it's a miracle. And again, not to say or minimize the pain and suffering that is occurring as a result, but the truth of the matter is that systems must crumble before they can be rebuilt.
Yep.
At least that's my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm in total agreement with you, Mira. I look at this time as a gift that we've been given. And we can look at things with different perspectives. We can look at it as, that punishment. We have to sit here. We can't do anything. Or we can look at it as, what can I do during this time? How can I reassess what I am and how I act in the world? Am I a person that litters? Do I use too much of something that I really don't have to be using that? What material things have we just like gathered and hoarded? And now, it's like material things aren't even important right now because we're just focused on survival, right? So this is the time, I think, in my opinion, this is the time for us all to reevaluate how we are leaving our footprint here on Earth and what we're doing and how we can merge in with everyone else to create that new future, that new brighter world where we don't waste and we don't take everything for granted. So I'm very happy with this gift that I've been given. And yes, I do feel for those who have lost their lives, those who have lost loved ones. I'm an empath, so I really feel for all of that. But this time has become something that's really necessary for all of us to really look at in that way and not waste it, not waste this opportunity.
I just from my clients and family that I'm in touch with so much by Zoom, since we're all staying at home, we've all kind of been shocked into being with ourselves again. So, we've had all of this growth around meditation and, and various practices, but they have been within sort of conditioned circumstances. So we could meditate when we wanted, or, at a certain time and in a certain place. What's happening now is that we are being with ourselves perhaps a lot more than we would have brought upon ourselves. We've been with our loved ones, the ones that we're at home with, to a great degree more than we normally would have. So many people with kids, and I've raised 3 kids. I know many of you have as well. And, but, kids are typically in classes, and not just school, but they're in group projects. And I had noticed when I've been out for walks that there are so many people, all social distancing. They might be 20 or 30 feet apart, but there are kids riding their bikes and skateboarding, and there was some teenagers out with guitars. And it reminded me of when I was growing up. And it reminded me of the 60s and 70s. And I thought, this is like back to the future, because we are, we're in this period of reorganizing, and there's something so wonderful about the reconnection at the local, at the personal level. And this is sort of an adjustment period though, because we're going to be taking this and doing something completely different with it. We'll be moving into the future very differently. But something, it's very precious. There are many aspects of this time that are very precious right now.
What it comes down to is a choice. And, you said we're going to be going into a future. Things are never going to be the same. And we can be very grateful for that. However, there are a number of forces that are certainly going to try to reestablish the status quo. And as conscious citizens of the planet, it's beholden to us to be alert to the choices that we make and what we're willing to go along with and where we push back and say, you know what, that didn't work. Let's just reshape this. Let's just move this in a different direction. And I think that that's also another place of alignment for the four of us to say, yes, we recognize that this is an opportunity to create something new, something that works, and to redirect so many of the patterns. And part of it is a pattern of thinking too. Like, we get to choose whether we're going to succumb to fear or we're going to embrace possibility. And one of the ways that I coach people into addressing the fear is to, instead of asking the questions that perpetrate that fear and magnify it, to ask questions like, what is the gift in this? What is the opportunity? What's possible now that wasn't possible before? And those questions, because our brain is kind of like a heat-seeking missile, it wants to find answers to the questions you ask. So when you ask those kinds of questions, you're going to get answers that are more life-affirming.
I think a great question we can all address right here, but we can also invite the listeners to think about is, what are you doing differently now as a result of this you want to continue to do differently? You don't want to go back to the way it was. So I throw that out there and see what thoughts you might have around that. Or I
can we answer it, Liz?
Yeah, I would love for you to answer it.
Yeah, well, I really looked at how I'm spending my time. And there was a lot of time wasting activity that was going on. So now it's like very focused activities and what is important, what is on that front burner that has been yelling and screaming at me to pay attention to it. So I look at that and really getting activities in order of importance instead of, I'll get to that when I get to it. It's like, no, that was something that was very important, but I kept listening to chatter and being distracted by things as I was going out and about. So for me, it's really been a time of realigning to my purpose and seeing what's there, what's important. So I don't want to go back to the chatter. I don't want to go back to all the distractions. Yeah, when we come back out into the world again and start integrating back into society, there's a lot that can distract us.
Yes.
So that's what changed for me, and I love it. I just absolutely, I'm loving life right now.
Yeah. I feel that similarly. I was feeling, I love the quiet. I love that I have more time to spend in quiet, and I don't feel like there's something else I could or should be doing. Before, as you said, there was always something to pull you away, and now, like, I've got days and days, so I can take plenty of time, particularly in the morning. I do a lot of kind of self-care and soul care and just things to keep me centered. And then I find if I spend that time in the morning really focused on that, it carries through the day. And before, I would attempt to do it, but I always had that to-do list to go to, or I always felt like emails were calling me. And there just seems like space has opened up, and it's been beautiful. So I hope to maintain that when we go back to normal, the new normal.
The new normal.
And I feel a new balance as well, which is very interesting because, let me rephrase that. A balancing, yes, but there's just been a deepening, and again, just a recognition of what is precious and what is valuable on the spiritual level. Because in my practice in my daily life, I've been global for years and years. And so while a lot of people are going more global right now because they are home and they can't be local, I'm having, this deepening of both the local and the global. So it's balancing, but I'm just recognizing like just the value of the connections more. There's more connection, not less. And though we're social distancing,
Yeah.
The connections are deeper. So it's really interesting balance there.
Just to piggyback on that, when you said the connections, social connections, one of the things, I live by myself, and myself and my cat. She keeps me well entertained. But I have tended to be something of a hermit, really, and I make my own time, I make my own schedule. And what I've noticed very differently from this time is that I'm doing so much more outreach, because in the beginning I started feeling anxiety around what was going on, what was happening in the world. I wasn't asking myself the best questions. And then I said, what can I do to shift my way of being or my experience? And what arose for me was contribution. And so as a result of that, this comes out of that for me. I do a morning, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern, short little conversation on Enlightened World Network for the Sustainability Now podcast. We've initiated Thursday night hangouts. And I find that I'm connecting, I'm with people almost all the time, which is really a huge contrast for me. And the other thing I'm noticing is that I'm giving myself permission to do what I want. And what I mean by that is I'm tuning into what my heart is calling for. And so there are so many things that I should do that I'm ignoring, because it's like, yeah, well, I don't want to. And as I allow myself to do what I want to do, I'm doing more. I'm contributing more. I'm flowing more. I'm not stressed. I'm feeling more alive. And I think that there's a really important nugget in there to explore pretty deeply. Again, with the coaching clients, I've seen a trend where we are dealing with identities and sort of the sloughing off of some of these culturally or self-imposed identities with the amount of money that we produce, identities with the roles that we play, where people are questioning, what am I up to now? What is important in life? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And moving through this sort of dark night of the soul a little bit in looking more deeply into what stirs their soul authentically. And it's against a cultural norm, but it may be part of our new future.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that there has been more connection during this time of separation and isolation. I've seen communities come together, virtual communities, where like-minded people are reaching out and seeing how each other are doing. That happened for me. I was just sitting outside by the river where I'm at, and it's like, I wish everybody could experience this right now. We're all being told to stay put, but look at all the beauty of nature. So I just went online, and that developed into a morning show that I do every morning, and just sit there and socialize and lift each other up for whatever is needed. So there's a lot of that. That's just one. There's a lot of communities that have developed, and it developed out of that need to share. And that's what we do, isn't it? As social beings, we share. We share our excitement, we share our sadness. And I'm really feeling for those people that are losing loved ones right now because they don't have that opportunity to share. And that is something that we do. We comfort each other. And the comfort usually comes with words or with hugs or, being able to express what's happening. So there's community, and that's so important. And I think that is what's going to take us into that new world in a different way. We're going to see that importance. And I mentioned earlier about collaboration. So these communities that are being built, that are coming together, we're going to see that need to really collaborate with each other if we want to see a world that's more peaceful. We want to see a world that things matter, and not the material things, but things like nature, animals thriving, the water thriving. So it's going to take all of us working together. I really know this in my heart, and we weren't. That was the old paradigm where it was each man for himself, and the more I can get, the better. So I see that type of change coming for all of us, that during this time, we're realizing what's really important. What's important individually and what's important collectively. And that's what I have experienced.
And our creativity is being called upon now too. To find more creative ways to be together. And as you said, normally, when people are passing away and we're able to give that person a hug, which we can't do at this time, we're finding ways to reach out and to be together. I had a holiday dinner with my family, a couple weeks ago with maybe 15 people or so. Everyone brought their pets. We called it, as a joke, we called it BYOH, bring your own ham, even if that's a vegan ham. And so, everybody had their own dinner, and it was interesting because normally there would be one party or another who may not be able to travel for this holiday, but for that holiday. But this way, we could all be together. And they could even, some people had multiple Zoom dinners going on, but, you could schedule one in the afternoon, one in the evening. Everybody can be there. The pets were there. We watched the pets' antics, and we were all able to be in each other's homes together. So that was a very different holiday, but it was wonderful.
It is, it's amazing. It's something that we never thought of. We should have. We've had Zoom available. We've had this opportunity, but it wasn't until this happened that we realized we could all get on a call together. And similarly, we had family calls. Why weren't we doing this before? And because it is so fun and it is so amazing to see everyone around the table at the same time. It never happens. So the other thing that I've been just thrilled to see is families that have come together. So they've ended up in the same house. Many times the kids have been gone. They were either at college or some had even moved out, but they ended up being together because they knew this was going to be a while and they wanted to be together. And what you thought might be a really difficult experience turns out that it's not. You can tell that they are just thriving being together. And I just think that's so beautiful. And I hope what happens when we come out of this is we remember that and we want to spend more time together, that we don't go back to our devices and just, hopefully we've had enough of devices and we just really, really want to be together face to face.
Yeah. So. Can I say something on that note? Because
yes.
What happened was I was inspired to write a letter to myself, handwrite a letter to myself. Now, I can't even remember the last time I handwrote a letter to myself or anybody else, but this was the inspiration. It was like, write this down, write down what this time was like for you, but also what you want to take forward out of this time, what you want to remember that was important for you at this time, what was really gained from this time in your isolation and your separation. And I encouraged others to do this as well, to first of all write that letter to yourself and keep it somewhere safe, so that once we do integrate again, you can pull that letter out and say, oh yeah, I told myself I wanted to do this. I told myself this is something very important to remember.
Wouldn't that make a great book?
Well, the other part of that, I encourage people to handwrite letters or cards and send them to other people. They're called letters of love, and just send those out to let people know, especially elderly people that are all alone through this. Many of them are in homes where they can't have visitors come in. I have a very dear friend, some of you may even know her, Sherry Myers. I know she won't mind me sharing that her mom is in hospice, and she had been there with her as one of the caregivers, and then all of a sudden they weren't letting anybody in. She couldn't even go be with her mom. So there's many people like that, and what we decided to do as a group, I have a Facebook group, we have adopted some of these people and we send them a letter. All of us, anybody that wants to can send a letter or a card that just says, I'm thinking about you and I hope you're doing okay, something uplifting along that line. So this is something we can all find ways to really help people through all of this. If we're each doing our part, we can really make this a really good time together, something that's going to come out as something great. Like you said, Mira, it could be a book, it could be all kinds of things that are ongoing, not just during this time that we're in lockdown or quarantine or whatever you want to call it. So there's many creative ideas that are out there. And you're right, Sheila, this has really revved up that creativity in many of us.
What do you ladies think about actually in making that an initiative to invite people to participate in? Like writing a letter to self and sharing it.
Love it.
I've actually created the website. I don't have a lot on it yet, but it is a website. It's called lettersoflove.me. And we can work on, getting that going. I would love to see it go.
Wonderful.
So is that, it sounds like there are two different things here. So the letters of love is to send to people, yes?
The first one is to yourself.
Oh, okay, cool.
You write that before you write anything else.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So people can submit directly to that website, lettersoflove.me.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
I would love if we could share some of what they're saying, if they're willing to share. We don't even have to say names, but some of the things that they say, this is what I've learned, or this is what I don't want to forget, or this is what I want to change, that type of thing. That
Oh,
would
I
be
love that.
Yeah.
That's brilliant, Teri. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
So maybe when people submit stuff to the website, they can say whether we have permission to share it on air or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be great.
I love it. That has been on my heart for it to really go viral and for people to be doing this all over the world. You know, not just one or two or a handful, but to really reach out to others. And we're not alone. That's the big message. You are not alone. You may be by yourself, but you're not alone.
Yeah.
And that's going to be so fascinating to look at because, you know, since the time that we were writing letters, I mean, I remember when I grew up, we had pen pals with sometimes people out of the country that would take a week or sometimes 2 weeks to get a letter there, you know, and then get a letter back. But you know, we have lost that, you know, collectively that art of writing, because there's something much more visceral. There's something more. There's like a deeper process that happens when you're actually writing out, as opposed to you know, digital. And I actually have a course on automatic writing that is more about that visceral process. But you take longer to think about the words. You know, when you can type as fast as we do now, or mostly voice. I use voice. We all use voice audios. Every time I text, I use voice for the text, and then Siri gets it wrong, and sometimes that's embarrassing when Siri gets it wrong. But with no Siri interference, and more time to think about what it is that you want to say, it's going to take us all deeper. Because as you said, Teri, those distractions that we've been used to sort of enable the denial that we're all kind of prone to. But once you don't have the distractions and you're kind of getting a clearer picture of yourself and of reality and how you're interacting, how you're interfacing with these people that you're writing to, or whether it's yourself, there's going to be a lot of I can just see a lot of growth and revelations and connection coming out of that. I'm very excited by that project.
Oh, I love it.
Thank you, ladies. I'm so glad that you feel the same way that I do. I really,
Oh, I just can feel it. Yeah.
and you know, when you do write, your energy is going into that as opposed to the digital or sitting there and typing it. So let's put our energy into that energy of love into everything that we put out into the world. I'm loving this. You know what? I see 555.
I just noticed that. Where did the time go?
That and also that is a number that signifies change, and that's what we're talking about. That's what the show is all about, is the change that's happening, the change that's it's already happening. It's not going to happen, it's already happening. And I'm just so excited that we have done this first show together. I would like to ask for each of you just to take a minute, just share how people can reach you, but also if you have any words that you want to leave with from this show today, what you would like to say to our listeners.
Well, I would just love to say welcome to the show, welcome to the conversation, welcome to yourself, as Teri just illustrated. You know, this is about coming back to yourself as well. And that I just am so looking forward to hearing from all of you and really engaging with you. And if you'd like to reach me, you can reach me at sheilacash.com, going to the contact form, or you could even email at sheila@sheilacash.com. And I would love to have that conversation with you.
Thank you, Sheila.
I see what we're up to as lessons in embracing change, and going in the flow of that direction joyfully and energetically and actively expressing ourselves into that. And I'm so excited to see what kind of synergy we create with the audience and what kinds of input you give us. And I love this idea of the letters of love, and I can't wait to see what people write. And I'm just feeling very, very full and grateful for this opportunity to be sharing with you ladies and to be sharing with all the people that are joining us. And to reach me, you can go to my website, yourcore, C-O-R-E, connection.com, and reach me through there, or Mira at yourcoreconnection.com. And I can also be reached through Mira at sustainabilitynow.global rather than .com. So, and you can check out our website there and also our presence on Facebook.
Thank you, Mira. Liz.
I would love to just say that I hope that you are feeling hopeful about the future, as the four of us are. And if you're not, to invite you to stay with us anyway, because we hope to change that. We hope that by spending time together, you are going to feel hopeful about what the changes are that are happening, what we have the ability to co-create together, and your part in that. And know that you are critical to what's happening on the planet now, and we need you. So I would also love to invite you to ask if there are things that you'd like us to address, topics you'd like us to address. We would love to hear from you. So please let us know that, and we hope you'll join us again in 2 weeks. In the meantime, you can always reach me at awepartners.com. That's AWE partners.com, or my direct email is lis@awepartners.com. And I would love to hear from you.
Thank you so much to all of you. I'm Teri Angel on Facebook, and I'm Gratitude Girl on Twitter and Instagram. I had to think. My website is angelspeakers.com, and I'd like to leave with that message that you matter. You do matter. You're important, you're worthy, you're deserving of everything that life brings you. And I hope in these conversations that we have that you will find a little bit of something that sparks that in you, that helps you to see your magnificence. And I just want to say to all of you in Facebook, we love you so much. Thank you for joining us today. We had a really good group of people on Facebook. And I'd just like to read 2 of the comments, if that's okay, ladies. Gerald Ann says, wonderful show, ladies. Thank you so much. Looking forward to future shows, and have a great evening. And Deb Goldberg says, great show, all of you. Thank you for your love and your voices. And we are just so honored to be doing this through Enlightened World Network. And we want to thank Dr. Ruth Anderson for providing this platform where we can have a voice and we can come to you. We'll be here every other Thursday on Enlightened World Network. So with that, we are going to play a little music for you to take you out of this show. So ladies.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for joining us on the Broader Edge. Our mission is to empower and engage you in shaping our tomorrow, because your impact matters. Help us spread the word by liking and sharing on social media. Be sure to join us on alternate Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern on Enlightened World Network for candid conversations that envision a new future. The information, views and opinions expressed by the Broader Edge co-hosts, guests and associates are intended to inspire and empower you and should not be construed as medical, psychological, financial or legal advice.
And we are off the air.
Woo! Wow.